All right, I kind of lied. I mean, I guess I didn't really lie, but I sure as heck said something that I think needs a little bit of updating. See, a few videos back, I did this shootout between the Rode Wireless Go, the Deity Pocket Wireless, and the Comica Boom XD Pro. I even said things like, definitely one of the best for quality, and I even went as far as titling the video like this. I was wrong. This is the LensGO 348c. The quick specs, before we get into the sounds tests, these are dual channel 2.4 gigahertz wireless mics, meaning there's two microphones, one receiver. From the receiver, you can send mono or stereo to your camera or your recorder. They're expandable. You can use the microphone that's built into the top of these, or you can attach a lav. They record backups directly inside with up to 32 gigabytes of removable media. You can charge them and update them via USB-C, or you can charge just by dropping them into the charging case that comes with the device. There's onboard noise reduction and up to 70 meters of range, although the marketing materials say you'll want line of sight in an open environment to get that kind of range. We'll get back to that. And up to 7.5 hours of usage, about half that, 3.5 if you're using the recording function. But let's take a listen to how these guys sound out in the field. Well, I'm out in the field and this is how it sounds. Now, one thing to consider with these 2.4 gigahertz units is that they're working on the Wi-Fi range. So a lot of the time they will have dropouts if you're turning around, like might be able to make it. But what's nice about this unit is that because it has that built-in recording, you know you're never gonna miss a beat. You're always gonna have a backup and you can just pull the SD card out, plop that into your system and use the audio from directly inside this. It does require that you sync it up in post, but it's a small price to pay to recover the audio from your set. A lot of the time when you turn around, you get some cutouts. You should be getting some pretty serious wind noise there. And one other thing to consider is that because the 2.4 gigahertz range is so crowded, you can't use like a whole bunch of these devices. You're kind of stuck just using like the two that it comes with. If you start adding more devices, you'll get like crosstalk between the two and it gets really messy. So if you want to run like 6 devices, this isn't the one for you. So one of the biggest issues that I've realized with this wireless mic so far is that the wireless sound, which you're listening to right now, it's going from here to the receiver on top of the camera, it sounds great. But when you switch to the internal recorded sound that you're actually recording to the SD card on here, listen to this ringing. I've tried formatting the card to a bunch of different formats and nothing seems to work. So if you are planning on using the internal recording, you're gonna have to do a bit of post-processing to make it sound good. So I took that audio file and I moved it into Isotope. And you can see here, if I highlight the section where I'm quiet, you can see that there's this ringing going on. It's happening at all these different bands here. So I reached out to the company and sent them this information. I still haven't heard back from them, but I'll definitely comment down below once I do. Maybe it's just a faulty unit, or maybe this is just how it sounds in the recording. But I will say, as far as the direct to camera sound, it's really quite a bit better than the other ones that I've tested. So I can't knock it too much because I probably won't be using the internal recording very much. I just wish the recorded audio wasn't quite that unusable. Editor Randy here. So I actually did hear back from them and they said, "Dear Randy, good day. After receiving your product questions, I went to our R&D staff. First of all, because of the loss of this microphone, it's relatively large. The current cannot be avoided. From what I'm getting here, it sounds like it's just because of the power that's drawn from the battery, and it sounds like it's just something that we have to deal with, unfortunately." So one thing that's pretty awesome is it comes with this magnet attachment on the back side. So the clip, it just has a little magnet on it and it snaps right on the back. That's pretty great. And it also comes with this washer style one, which is like a little metal washer. It's got some 3M adhesive on the one side. So you can actually just plop this onto a piece of gear and snap this right on, which is awesome. Another great part of this thin metal one is that it's really discreet. If you put it under a shirt or something like that, it doesn't stick off too far. One of the big downsides to this setup with the magnet is that when you go to squeeze this, because the magnet's not very strong, the whole thing kind of comes up like that, and then the jaws start to open when you put a lot of pressure on. And what usually happens is you squeeze this a little bit, and then your shirt goes in here, and then it's easy to fall out. So that's kind of annoying. The one amazing part about having this though is that if this is clipped onto a subject, you can just quickly pull this off, do some work on it or whatever you need to do, and then clip it back on the subject like that. So it's super fast for that, but it would be nice if this didn't happen. All right, so first off, you'll have to excuse this shot. This is probably the laziest shot I've ever had, but as you can tell, we are in the process of moving. So I'm literally in a room full of boxes. Couple things that I want to note about the overall impressions. Number one is that I kind of wish the lights were on the side. Both the power, the sync, and the record light, they're right on the front. It can be a little bit distracting having the bright flashing LED in front of you. Right now I'm not recording, but you can see like, you know, the lights are a little bit invasive. I would just rather see them on the side. It's not a huge deal. Second thing I want to bring up is that there's no gain control on these devices. This is similar to, I believe the Comica has the same issue. They have like an auto gain function on here, which on this one is actually quite good. I wasn't able to clip it in my testing. If I would yell, it would turn down. It was really responsive, so I do appreciate that quite a lot. The next thing that I think is a pro of this unit is this charging case. I really do like this case. It's not a battery powered case, so you can't charge this case and then put the units in it and have them charge. This is just like a charging hub or a dock that you can essentially put the units inside, and they will use those contact points to charge. So I gotta say, I was really surprised to see this little, you know, microphone design case when I pulled it out of the box. I was kind of expecting what you see on just about every other piece of gear these days, and that's like the black zipper case. Probably for good reason. That's probably a bit more of a practical option, but I don't know, I kind of thought this was just nice. They're just embracing the, like, you know, it's just a little house for your microphones. It doesn't need to be a zipper case, doesn't need to be roadworthy. This is kind of cool, I like it. And the very last point that I wanna make is that these devices don't actually come with the removable media. So with like the Comica, for instance, it has that 8 gigs of built-in storage. You know, there's pros and cons to that. Built-in storage, the bad part about that is if it gets corrupted, it's really hard to replace it. Whereas this one is removable, so you can just take out the micro SD. But you do need to have your own micro SDs. I mean, most of us have a bunch of these lying around, but if you don't, it is gonna be something that you have to add to the purchase list. If you wanna hear this microphone shot out against the Deity Pocket Wireless, the Comica Boom XD Pro, and the Rode Wireless Go, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm gonna be putting out a short next week, YouTube Shorts, crazy. And I'm gonna be going through comparison of all of them. We'll do a bit of a range test, and we'll do a bit of a sounds test as well. That's it for this one. We'll see you guys in the next video.